Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us and watching us if you watch it later. But this is the Gridiron Survivor Project. This is, our team here. We have Alex, Carlos, Mai, Chris, Jason, and myself, Shashi. There's a few more other individuals that are on our team, but they're either working or they're a little bit busy, and that's totally fine. But we're excited today because we have the awesome Tracy Lee with us. Tracy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi. So nice to meet everybody. I'm so excited to be here today. My name is Tracy. I'm the co-founder of a company called This Labs. We are a software consultancy, but I'm also a Google developer expert, Microsoft MVP, and are on the RxJS core team. And I just love doing things for the community, and I'm really excited to be here today.
Is there anything you don't do?
Let me see. I don't take the trash out. My husband does that. I don't kill spiders.
Oh,
Or bugs. I don't kill bugs.
squash the bugs.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
true.
Yeah, you
IRL
do
bugs.
squash bugs. Awesome. Thank you, Tracy. First, before we start, I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about the Great Survivor Project and why I created it. Um, it I, I kept talking to individuals that were self-taught or boot campers, and there was this common thread that was going on. It was that they just didn't have the real world experience or didn't have the opportunity to receive it. And so my friend Rudy, I've been doing this survivor pool with them, this NFL survivor pool with them, and I say, hey, why don't I build an app for you? Like, you can just use it. We'll build it. He said, yeah, cool. So I set forward and said, hey, let me go find some junior engineers to see if they want to get involved in this project. We're going to use a corporate process. I'm going to review their code, and we're going to go through the whole spiel of agile, sprint planning, and all of that, so that they get this real world experience. And so being able to grab these individuals and bring them in, I also separate them into different teams. We have the UX engineering team, we had the functional team that focused on API integrations and data, and we had the backend team, which did a lot of DevOps, database setup, and all of that. And so now we're cross-functional, and we have my friend Jana, is our designer, UX designer. I worked with her for several years, and so having industry experts in this to help these individuals and guide them was a key piece to that too, because I didn't want the blind leading the blind. So I was able to. I wanted to grab another individual to help us out. So along the way, these individuals have learned not just being able to do code reviews, but to collaborate as a team as well. By separating the teams, it allows them to understand that, hey, if I need to talk to just the UX team, I need to go to that channel or just talk to these individuals. And then if I need to go cross functional to the functional team, then I can bring them all together or talk to them on the side. And so this project simulates like a real world experience. And the cool thing is we're actually building this for an actual client. Rudy is our client, and we're building this for him so he can utilize it and everything. So gaining that experience for one, and then also building a real world project has been very key. Um, and so I don't know, Tracy, if you've heard or seen all of our posts, but I kind of want to get your take on if this is something beneficial to the industry or individuals like these individuals that are still self-taught, that are still looking for the first job.
Yes, actually, I'm incredibly passionate about this because I think getting underrepresented folks in tech, the pipeline for finding diverse pools of talent is not the, hey, let's go recruit at a university anymore. And with that being said, a lot of people don't really know how to recruit through boot camps. And I think the problem with a lot of folks who come out of boot camps is, okay, well, how do I get my first job? And you're
Yeah.
absolutely right that the real world experience is the first thing that's missing. So back, gosh, I can't remember. I think it was 2018 or 2019. I actually decided to start the This Apprentice program.
Oh,
And the
very
reason
cool.
I started the This Apprentice program was because I saw this problem of needing to bridge that gap
Hmm.
between boot camp folks, right? Underrepresented, great people, underrepresented folks who are coming in through that pipeline, through that boot camp pipeline, And the hardest part is getting your first job. And one of the reasons why, when I was talking to business people about why they could not hire those people, was because you I'm sure you all have heard it before, right? Like, "Oh, we just can't handle juniors. We don't have time.
Yeah.
They don't have the
Yeah.
experience, this, that, whatever." So I said, "You know what? Let's do this thing where we have this apprentice program and you can actually do a contract to hire with a developer, a new developer, but we will provide that senior leadership and guidance." So we would put them as a pair on, and we still do. We put them as a pair onto a project, and then we provide that leadership that a junior developer might need to be successful generally, right? And then within 3 months, okay, after they're onboarded and that has been taken off, the load has been taken off of the business side, then all of a sudden, okay, we've helped that person get a job. And,
Mhm.
that is something that we're incredibly passionate about here at this dot. Um, One of the issues that we had when launching it was, there's just really like it costs a little bit more money to do that, right? But
Yeah.
it also
Yeah.
costs money to get more representation in tech. And a lot of businesses don't want to do that. I think we're also seeing in the industry, because of the economy and the way things are, it is
Mhm.
so much harder for junior developers to get jobs. And so it's definitely been a challenge. So I really appreciate what you're doing. Again, I think the real world experience that you're providing people is incredibly important.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what you all are doing.
Awesome. Would you say that the current industry, majority of the companies that are hiring are definitely looking more for experience, right? Because until they get the experience, they can't bring a junior on to handhold them, onboard them, train them through this whole process and learning like even how to communicate cross-functional. Do you see that as an issue right now? Because it like that's one of the main things why they're not looking for juniors.
I am more sitting on the consulting side of things, right? So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
can't speak for everybody. However, I feel like there is not everybody's focused right now on the bottom line, and
Yeah.
everybody's focused on efficiency. And so while people still feel passionate about helping underrepresented folks or helping juniors get into tech, those types of
Hmm.
things, there is just not the space to do so right now because people are companies a lot of companies are doing well, really well. A lot of companies are trying to survive. And
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
trying to survive, they can't go like, "Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Like I want, you have to be laser focused on keeping your own job." And so that's difficult. It's really difficult right now.
Chris, I think you had a question. No? Oh, I think Jason had the question for you, Chris.
All right,
I don't
here
know,
I'll
Jason.
go
Okay.
for it. I know
Yeah, go
he's
ahead.
driving. He's driving. So I
Okay.
think Tracy, you and I have talked offline here and there. My specific challenges is very similar to what we're talking about, and which is why I love what Shashi has been doing for us on his own out of the goodness of his heart, which is freaking awesome. Filling in the gaps from when I was in boot camp to where I'm at now, right? My challenge is I have 18 years of professional experience. So people see that, then they see, oh, but you have 2 years of coding experience on XYZ projects. And so there's two things, the
Mhm.
feedback that I'm getting. It's one, it's he's been at the top aerospace company for 18 years, so probably getting paid a good amount, and that pay may not match the years of experience as a developer as he's trying to break into that developer role. So it's trying to prove the 2 years of experience that I have is valuable with 18 years of professional experience, because there's value in that 18 years, even though it may not be directly related with hands-on code. There's communication. I've been in leadership roles, stuff like that. And that is the challenge that I've been facing, is trying to communicate the merging of two areas and showing that what I have can transition over into what I want to do as a developer.
Yes. I think I've been doing a lot of interviewing right now, and I'm trying to fill a lot of positions at this dot. So shout out, we are hiring. Unfortunately, right now we are only hiring senior level engineers. But there's somebody that came through the pipeline that just did an interview right now, and I felt like they were a great culture fit. They graded out as SE3, not SSE1. So that's a mid-level, high mid-level engineer versus a senior software engineer one. So a low senior engineer. And I was like, man, could this person be the person, we're looking for leads. Could this person be a lead? Because he has the ability to talk in senior software engineer speak. And he has, very much like you probably, Chris, right? Where you can talk it, you've been in this before. This is your space, but he doesn't have the technical acumen necessarily to compete with his the SSE ones on our team. So, right now on my team, I need somebody who is as technical and can compete with an SSE one level, as an SSE one developer who can also lead a team. But, it doesn't mean that in a few months, I might be looking for somebody who actually can just be that and then, kind of not need, could be a mid, let's say, on the engineering side. So I think it really just depends on the team and the needs. I think a lot of people who come from who are second career type folks, right? Just like you you bring so much value. I think that's the same thing. Like most people coming out of boot camps have so much experience elsewhere that they bring to the table, which is why a lot of these folks go into management shortly thereafter, right? Because they're just so good at it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard, and I wonder if you can somehow translate some of that experience on your resume to make it reflect a little bit more on, "Hey, I was doing some level of development in these 14 years." I'm not sure, but I think that would probably be helpful.
That's super helpful. No, I appreciate that feedback. And yeah, I definitely I'm jaded in the management area. I manage people right now and I loathe it. I hate it. I've had some bad experiences and I'm like, I want out of that piece, which is
Oh, yeah.
probably in a in a different team environment that might be a little bit different.
Yeah. I
And
think what you should
yeah.
do, by the way, if you're interviewing, because I know you feel this way strongly, but I also feel like that is why somebody would hire you right now. And so
That's interesting.
I would not say that, because if somebody's looking at your experience and like, man, this guy has engineering skills and he has management skills, then if you
Mm.
take away the fact that you have been a manager, and that's probably why somebody's talking to you with, 2 years of experience, then you're taking away the reason why so
Oh, that's a good valid. Yeah.
I would lean into that a little bit, because that's the value that's going to get you in.
Mm.
Right? Like, you're gonna be able to guide people on your team in a leadership role as an IC and bring that as a mid-level person,
Yeah.
bring that level of organization to a team. So don't say, "I don't wanna do it."
That's valid, and I've been
Mhm.
thinking about that too, and in my heart, I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I did it in my mind. I've been going, I wonder if at the right company, if it's managing a team that does web development or this type of stuff, that my passion would be a little bit different than just doing what I do, because I don't manage a team of web developers now, right? So
But
Mhm.
that's
management means a lot of things. Really, a lot of people are just looking for leadership on a team.
yeah,
So you like to lead.
yeah, love it. I just
Mhm.
don't want to be responsible for people.
Eh,
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like a lot of managers are people, they just deal with people. I've had some managers where the technical acumen wasn't the highest, but they were really good people person,
Mhm.
and they were some of the best managers until they got to the point where they understood the features, the requests, all that stuff. All that stuff will come, but being able to handle people and understand how to like gauge their careers and stuff like that, that goes a long way too.
And I'll just make one more point, Chris, to the types of engineering managers. So, like for this thought, for example, we have people engineering managers, and then we put out engineering manager because we don't. it's not a project manager, it's not a tech lead, it's not an engineering manager. So we're just saying we're hiring all of them to see what we get. But
Mm,
it's just
Yeah.
somebody who is willing to take ownership and leadership of a project. That is what we consider an
Mhm.
engineering manager. So by saying, "Hey, I don't want to be a manager," there's so many different, I think, get the interview, but then ask those questions of like, well, what is an engineering manager to you? What is a whatever lead to you? Because it could be no people management. Like our engineering manager position that's open right now requires no people management outside of the projects. You're managing people on projects, you're not doing any of the other BS.
I love that. That is really good. That's some of the best feedback I've gotten around
Hmm.
this. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
sure.
great.
Alex, I think you had a question, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mine's kind of like a short question. So obviously with how today's job market it is and like how hard it can be to break in, especially without those leadership skills, a lot of what I've been trying to do is networking on social media. So I actually wanted to ask like of any networking strategies that you may have that have worked for you.
Well, I can tell you the networking strategies that have been working to get my attention.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
for and I won't name names, but like for example, there's a guy and he he's well known in the tech industry and he applied and yeah, this is the awful thing about the interview process that maybe you don't see. So I was like, look, I'm going to be a great interviewer or a great, whatever, like contact at this dot, and I'm going to respond to every single email that is sent to me. Okay. And like that was fine because, then I was having to like maybe like 150 requests. And then I was like, oh my God, dude, I cannot spend like 4 hours a night doing this. This is crazy. And then Danny joined. And then Danny Thompson sent out a tweet and
Congratulations
then
to getting Danny.
thanks. And then within 2 hours, I have 350 resumes in my inbox. Okay? And guess what? Nobody after like my everything is paused. Like I just, and then I'm like, okay, maybe I can, so then all of a sudden I'm responding to like the last 10 emails of this 350 that comes in. And then I'm like, dude, I can't do this. Like, and then I pass it off to somebody else on my team to like filter through these resumes, right? But then all of a sudden, everybody that I was talking to of the first 150 got completely lost in my inbox.
Mm.
And so, how do they get surfaced, right? It's because Danny was like, oh, here's the 3 people that contacted me who you should probably consider. Or like, oh, hey, somebody sent me a DM and said, hey, by the way, did you see this? Or, hey, by the way, I responded to your messages. Did you like this one person who I really, was considering hiring before I forgot about him, you know? And again, I didn't forget about him because I don't like him. I just forgot about him because my inbox exploded. He's like, "Hey, by the way, did you get my whatever?" And I was like, "Oh my God, whoopsies." And then I went back and, you know, looked up his thing and then basically sent him the code exercise. Same thing. Like there is a guy who, has a podcast. He's pretty well known. He actually finished the code exercise. I sent it over and I don't know, my team somehow missed it. And so he sent that over on Thursday. He pinged me back on Tuesday and I was like, "Oh crap, why didn't we do this?" I didn't forget about him because I don't like him. I actually really do like him, but I just, it somehow got missed. So like that power of follow-up, that power of just like dropping into dropping into people's DMs and saying hi or things like that are amazing ways. Okay, there's this one guy. This is a great story. This guy, he is a developer. He's like, "I'm a developer in Mexico. I don't have a job right now, this, that." I'm like, "Look, your experience, uh, you're not going to pass out, right?" But then I was looking for somebody I needed to create a backend exercise. And so I just asked him, I asked Twitter, I said, "Hey, who has ideas on creating a backend code exercise? Because I need one." And then he slid into my emails again and said, "Hey, by the way, I know you're not considering me, but by the way, this is how I would do it." And then he's the one that actually created the code exercise that I'm
Oh,
now
that's so
sending out to
cool.
people. And
That's
then
so
I was
cool.
like, you know what? I'm going to give you the code exercise because that's worth it. You deserve a
Mm,
chance for us to review your code exercise. And so again, he could have said no, but like don't burn bridges as well. I mean, there's this one guy that dropped
mhm.
into my DMs because I said, I'm sorry, I don't want to waste your time because of your experience. And he started calling me narcissistic and how I was evil and how he wanted to drop out of the industry and all these. I'm like,
Bridge
well,
burned.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll stop talking, but, again, instances of just, like, talk to people and nobody's ignoring you because, like, don't think there's anything behind it. It's just, it's nothing really.
Yeah, and I want to follow up with that too. I know of other companies and people that have put up posts, and in a day or two, they've gotten like 500 to 1,000 applicants, right? And that's crazy, and that's kind of common nowadays. Like for yourself, you just spoke about it, where it's so difficult. You found somebody early on. They're like, okay, this person's probably gonna be a finalist or whatever. But then you're bombarded with all these other applicants. Like, how is somebody going to stand out and be able to um, be surfaced, right? Because as these individuals, like most of them are junior engineers, self-taught. Like pretty sure like a lot of the applicants and resumes are going to look very similar, but how do you stand out at that point if you kind of have the same experience as everybody else?
Well, when I told everybody to send me dad jokes, I felt incredibly obligated to respond to every single person who sent me a dad joke because whether they were good or bad, they spent the time to give me a dad joke. And so I spent too much time personally. I'm not responding to every single email. I can't respond to that many emails
Hmm.
anymore. I'm sorry. However, that is a really good way to stand out. When I try to get in front of people and things like that, I do the same thing. I send messages, I send follow-ups,
Hmm.
I see who their network is. I like, oh, you were talking to this random person. Can I like somehow wiggle my way over here? And then all of a sudden I'm like up in everybody's face and everybody's business and they don't know why I'm there. But guess what? I'm there
Hmm.
because I wanted to be there. So, like, the level of determination, right? And just kind of trying and trying and trying. Like, don't let time and the amount of effort it might take to do that discourage you because it's worth it in the end, right?
I think there's something super valuable with just saying that and um, being persevering through the process. I guess is what you're saying. I mean, I've been at this for 2 years, and it wasn't until I started getting involved in the coding community, not out of what can I get out, but realizing that even as someone new in the community, there's something I can offer. Um, as to help people out in my place or share some insights or just get involved in conferences for me have been a great way to network. If that's something that, is available to the person, even you, Alex, because then you get to meet people in real life, you get to talk with people, and then you develop those relationships and those continue in the Twitter spaces and Twitter verses and all that sort of stuff throughout everything. I've been at a place where my wife yells at me every time I say it. I go, I can't keep this up. It's like doing two jobs. I work, 9 hours a day at my day job. And then I'm working evenings and weekends to pursue stuff with Shashi, helping James Quick out with some of his projects, and after a while you go, what is this doing for me? And I think getting myself out of that mindset and going, okay, Shashi and I talked about this the other day. The right opportunity will open up at the right time when it's going to happen. And so just keep pushing through, keep persevering. And so that's something I got to keep telling myself as well, you know?
It's I'm trying to build this thought and I have a lot of goals for the next 5 to 10 years of what I want this thought to become, where I want us to go as an organization. But a lot of times, even for me in building a business, it's, oh my gosh, like when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? And I have to tell myself like it's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
Because, these small little things, right? These incremental things, you don't see it until it actually happens. And sometimes it's hard to see that progress through. One thing that was really helpful for me when seeing a coach is really good too, by the way. Like I went to have a coach. And so a few years ago she had me journal down like what are your 1-year goals, 3-year goals, 5-year goals, right? So for me, I looked at like my financial goals, where I wanted to be family wise, where I wanted to be professionally, and I wrote them down. And you forget about your goals through time, right? But it's so cool because I can look back at that journal and be like, "Oh my gosh, 5 years later, I actually met my goals." Because sometimes when you just say what you want to do, that sometimes helps it come into reality. So I would suggest that, right? Because it also helps you gauge your progress as well. You might feel like you started off the year with nothing, but then if you look back and you're like, "Whoa, I did a lot this year. This is amazing."
Mhm.
Whether it's, "Hey, I'm going to contribute to 3 open source projects," or, "Hey, I'm going to talk to 30 employers," or, "Hey, I'm going to speak at 10 conferences," whatever it is, whatever goals you set for yourself, you will at least do some of it. It doesn't have to do all of it, but you will do some of it. And it's really cool to be able to see that progress in yourself.
Yeah, that's a good one, Tracy. Like for myself, I don't like I should write mine down, like I should, but I don't. But when I look back in my career and I'm like, damn, 5 years ago, that's where I was. Like I'm such a better place now. But I didn't think I could get here even 5 years ago. I thought it would be incremental. But just looking at all this baby steps that you take to get to where you are, like it's amazing because all the little things that you do they all add up, right? Especially like one thing Alex brought up is networking. Where for myself, networking, I didn't know what I was doing. I just did it, but I networked and I didn't burn any bridges. And lo and behold, for a few of my future employers came from networks that I made multiple years ago. They didn't come fruitful right away, but I kept tabs with them whenever they had success. I would write a congratulations to them, personal note to them, DM them, all that stuff. Because, like you said too, Tracy, like with the follow ups and into people like DMing you, their face, their name comes up into your mind right away, right? Like you might forget them, not on purpose, but it's life is so busy. But by doing that, your name surfaces up, and then they're like, "Oh, I remember this person. Maybe there's something that we can do here." Or maybe not yet. But one case for me was I did that. An individual was speaking at a conference and I couldn't make it. And I said, "Hey, hopefully your talk went well." Um, I was trying to be there, but I couldn't get there. And then he wrote back and said, "Hey, you know what? I interviewed you 2 years ago, and I think you'd be perfect for my role that I'm leaving." And I was like, "Really?" And so we got in. I got in, interview 1 week, done, got the job. They didn't have to interview any candidates or anything. It was streamlined, and it was a fantastic company that I really wanted to go to. And I was like, "Wow!" Like I wasn't looking for a job, but I'll take it. you know. So those little things that you can do to push yourself and just know, like for you, Chris, I tell you all the time is, building in public, reaching out to people. You're going to that conference next week to make those connections. Tracy's
We'll
going to
all
be there
be
as well.
there. Yes.
Woohoo!
So, so great. I'm really excited.
Oh, sorry, Carlos and Alex. You can come. There's still time. But
Yeah.
like doing all those things, it matters. Like it
Yeah.
may feel like nothing's working because there's no immediate gratification. But as you continue to build those things, they will eventually become
It
fruitful.
will.
Like not all
It
of them
absolutely
will,
will.
like
Yeah.
it takes time, but some of them will eventually. And
Yeah.
and then when you look back, like Tracy said, you're like, wow, it was because I went to that conference that I got this role 5, 10 years later. It was that connection I made with that individual or individuals later that I got here. If I didn't do that, I might not have gotten here. And so when you backtrack through your career and your life, you'll be like, wow, like it's so crazy how these things connect.
Yes. And I will also say that, okay, do you know why I hired Danny? I haven't even told.
Oh,
I
yay!
wonder if
Let's
I
hear
told.
it.
So I wasn't even looking. Okay. And I was like, so Danny, there's room 404. We're all hanging out in the suite. And, Danny's professional, and, even, you can poke I love to poke people. So I'll poke somebody and like see what comes out of them. And Danny remains professional the whole time I'm with him. The other thing about him is that I could tell that he respected his employer, you know, and I
Mhm.
could tell that he worked and he respected his employer and he respected his job. And that meant a lot to me.
Mm.
And I wasn't even thinking about it, okay? But then subconscious mind, Friday right before I'm about to leave, I was like, "Oh my god, we should hire Danny." And boom, that's how it happened. And then Monday we talked, and then a few weeks later he joined. So, I will say, right, like, and it's the same thing, right? Like, I mean, Chris, Jason, the first second I get a junior developer opportunity
Mhm.
and I need to fill that role, guess who I'm looking at? I'm probably gonna be interviewing you guys, right? Because
Yep.
it's easy, it's quick. I know you guys are out in the community, whatever. Of course we'd have to have interviews, but who's on my mind? You guys are on my mind because you guys are showing me in my Twitter timeline. So Twitter changed my life and it continues to change my life. And so if
Mhm.
anybody is not on Twitter, I would highly recommend y'all get on Twitter.
Oh, Alex just got on Twitter today. Congratulations, Alex.
Yeah, I
Woohoo!
literally just made the account before this meeting.
Yay.
Yeah, I've been telling him, like, I understand, like, some people don't want to be on social media
We've
and
all
all
been
of
telling
that.
them.
Yeah, but then, like I was saying, I'm a big believer in building in public and putting yourself out there because it is so hard to get a job nowadays as a self-taught individual trying to move forward. And how is Tracy with 800 applicants gonna look past, put you at this top of the stack when there's 799 other individuals, right? But if she has followed your journey somehow, some way through Twitter, social media, whatever, she has an idea of what you're doing, and then when your name comes up, she'll be like, "Oh, yeah, Alex Applegate. I know his work and all that stuff. Maybe we should give him a chance." Like, you just never know. And I have so many stories from other individuals that have been building in public and have gotten so the great opportunities just from doing that. And so that's why this project, we try to have a meeting once a week, either doing sprint planning or talking to a project or whatever it is, to kind of showcase what we're doing and what these individuals are learning. So my hope is that this can showcase what they're doing and that the process they're learning along the way is going to set them apart from the competition, because a few of these individuals have been interviewed and we've received great feedback of how they're industry ready, how they were so different from the other junior candidates that they've had. And that's something that I want to continue to push forward with these individuals, is having that skill set and having those experiences that are going to set themselves apart from others.
Can I tell you guys a story?
We
So
love stories.
I started doing development, I think 8 or 9 years ago, somewhere around there. Okay. So this is like before ES 2015 came out. And I would write blog posts. People think I talked in room 404 to somebody about this. People think that people always stop and like, what, who wants to hear about what I do? I'm writing blog posts so that I can remember how the heck I did something on this project so I can repeat it again. I'm not writing it for anybody else, right? So I started writing a bunch of those blog posts early on in my journey. When I was in a boot camp, I was like, okay, look, there's 21 days of this. I'm going to build something every single day and put up a website and show like day 1, day 2, it's probably still on my GitHub. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day whatever, right? And it was so funny, right? You think about like day 3 of a boot camp, like, I found the marquee tag. This is so cool. Those were the types of things that I was doing. Then when I was given a framework, which is Ember.js, I was like, oh my God, I can build things. And I built 3 websites in that weekend. It's like, I can do
That's
that. And then I
awesome.
started selling my services. Okay. Because I was like, I could do this. Is so great. It's so easy. Ember gives me everything I need. But like all those blog posts that I wrote and all those commits that people saw on my GitHub, I was getting recruited by Google. Google recruiters would come talk to me.
Wow, that's
And I was
awesome.
like, I'm heavily unqualified, but I will pretend like I'm having this conversation with you.
Yeah.
So, anyways, point being, right? Like all of a sudden I was given all this opportunity. I was playing around with Angular material, so material design
Mhm.
when it was in alpha, and I was just documenting how to do it because everybody said, please don't ever use this. It's alpha right now. But I really wanted to use it because I really loved material design. And what happened? People who wanted to use material design were using my blog posts as
Oh,
a way to
wow,
learn
that's
material
awesome.
design because I was the only
Yeah.
documentation out there,
Oh,
you know?
wow.
And so I all of a sudden became like the person well known for Angular material if you're trying to implement Angular material. And the Angular core team would talk to me because I'm trying to figure something out that they haven't even documented yet, right? Um, but that allowed me, again, even as a junior developer. I mean, this is you're talking about like months, okay, like less than a year in the tech world
Yeah.
here, and
Wow.
all of a sudden, like this is all happening to me. And why? Because I'm just tweeting, I'm hanging out with
Yeah.
people, I'm, like, blogging about random stuff, I'm speaking at random things, um, so that's really where opportunity comes, right? And, again, don't think too much, like, Alex, you're now on Twitter, like, Calypso Coding, she just joined Twitter as well, and I was like, "Join Twitter, join Twitter." She's like, "Well, why? What am I gonna say? I don't know what to say." I'm like, "Just talk about anything." I mean, I remember when I was again, less than a year, probably a few months into it, I was like, "Oh my god, check out this router. This router can do cool things." And I was, like, so excited about this router. And now I look back, I'm like, "Oh my god, I was excited about router. Like, should that have even been?" But I was, like, so excited, and I wanted to give talks on how cool it was, like, even to scaffold up a project, right, with the CLI. I was so excited about it. And that's what I would talk about at events, at meetups. Um, and what happens there though is, it's contagious, right? Like whatever you're excited about, even if it might seem like, junior or whatever, or what, I didn't have any of that. I just went all in. And so sometimes being a little bit like, whether it's ignorant or naive or whatever, to like not having that like, "Oh my god, I'm not good enough," or, "Oh my god, I'm talking to more senior people," right? That's kind of what got me in front of people, and, the energy that I brought was the thing that people were most excited about, and so that kind of also inspired senior developers to be more excited about their jobs, 'cause, you get old and jaded, right? So I would highly encourage you all to do that because, um, you don't have to be senior to be an expert in your field.
Yeah, I think that's one feedback that I receive too because I'm trying to start my YouTube channel and I'm like, I don't want to do the same thing everybody else is doing. But so many people are like, dude, it's your opinion, your views. It's different from everybody else. You never know who will resonate with your style of teaching and your videos and all of that. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I want to start it up. And same with blogging and stuff, right? Like the way you interpret something is different from everybody else, and someone might resonate with how you interpret it. And so, like you said too, is like don't think like it's a waste of time. And sometimes you're doing it for yourself, yes, but you can double dip and say, you know what, I'm gonna put this out in the wild and see where it goes because somebody may find this and find it helpful, and or a company might find it and be like, hey, can we collaborate with you and let's get this thing going. You just never know.
I I was in I'm a part of a online community with Becca with virtualcoffee.io. And a lot of the times new developers come in there and they go, I have nothing to share. And I go, yes, you do. There's someone just like you out there who's looking for inspiration. Just start blogging what you are learning. You may think it's junior and there might already be a blog post out there on it. Who cares? Someone's going to find you at your level and go, oh my gosh, this is inspiring. Someone like me is writing this. Great. And then you have somewhere to go with it. So I think anyone should just blog what they're learning, even if it's already out there, because do it for yourself and then do it for people at your level who have something to learn from you as well.
Look at you, Chris, Mr. Engineering Manager over here, managing
Yeah.
people. Leading people, inspiring people.
I think Chris is gonna be in that conference room very often next week. Hey, I'll be there too. I'll be too.
I'll be podcasting, so we should all podcast
Oh,
together.
let's do
Oh,
it.
heck
Let's
yeah.
do it.
That'd be so
That'll be
fun.
so fun. Jason, I know I keep
Can
adding.
you guys,
Okay.
can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Tracy, it's so nice to meet you. I don't think we got to meet at Render. How are you?
Haha.
Ha 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 ha. Jason.
Real question though, because we were talking about the Twitter and the networking and all that stuff. Do you have any tips for people that are? You kind of touched on it when you were talking about the Calypso thing. Just do it. But what are some ways to approach that as networking? Like maybe just again for Alex or Calypso or people that aren't familiar with how to approach networking in social media.
Sure. Well, am I allowed to share my screen?
Yep, you go on.
Okay.
Once you
So
share it,
let
I can
me
throw it up. Yeah.
let's see. Share screen. I'm going to stalk Jason.
Okay.
So
Oh boy.
I
Whoa.
want Jason Torres to hire me. So I'm going to find Jason. I know Jason. Jason's following 398 people and he has 455 followers. I'm going to look at his replies. What's
4,000
Jason doing?
followers.
He's
Wow.
talking to James Quick. I'm not following James Quick. I'm going to follow James Quick. Who's James Quick? I'm going to go into James Quick. Who else is Jason talking to? Kent Dodds. He's talking to that conference. Oh, I should go to that conference. Ooh, look at this list. Look at all these people. Leah Coates, Jason Torres. Ooh, Sarah. Who's Sarah? I'm going to follow Sarah. Right? Like all of a sudden, I am all up in Jason's business. Ooh, Sashi. Who's Sashi? I want to talk to Sashi, right? Like all of a sudden, I'm talking to all these people. Ooh, Stephanie. Who's Stephanie? I'm talking to all these people that Jason knows. I'm all up in their business. I mean, Jason does an excellent job at this, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, Jason knows me as a brand. Jason knows me as a person, right? I'm gonna look at who he's following. I'm gonna follow Nick. Ooh, JS Party FM. Melanie, who's that, right? Ooh, Cloudinary, Director of DevX Engineering, Colby. I'm gonna follow him, right? All of a sudden, again, because I think Jason is an important person that I want to know, and I want to know the people that he knows. Well, here we go, right? Like now, all of a sudden, in my timeline and through the conversations and the people I'm responding to are all related somehow tangentially to Jason. I might also find again James Quick and I might see him. I'm like, whoa, James Quick has 50,000 followers. Oh, let me go in there. Oh, let me go to my replies. Okay, who's James talking about? James is talking to Emma. James is talking to Carla. This whole thing of James posting this coffee thing right here. So this is actually
It's
good.
live.
This
It's
is
live.
actually a good example, right? Because I was, back in the day, I was trying to connect with somebody in Silicon Valley. I was trying to connect with investors in Silicon Valley. And Jeff.vc, Jeff Clavier, if you guys know him, he's a venture capitalist. I connected with him because he was eating brown rice sushi. And I was like, well, he must have gotten brown rice sushi from Whole Foods. So I was like, oh, I love brown rice sushi at Whole Foods. Is that where you got it? All of a sudden, Jeff Clavier, who's a VC who has no time for me, has time to respond to a tweet to me. And guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be dropping into CMs and being like, hey, we should grab brown rice sushi sometime. Right? Like, oh, all of a sudden I'm talking to Jeff Clavier. This is amazing. So and I think the other thing that people really underestimate, I hate it when people say, Tracy, you're too busy, so I didn't want to bother you. Look, if you think the busiest people in life are actually not very busy, why? Because everybody thinks they're too busy, so they don't message them. So like a good example is, gosh, I can't remember his name right now, but he was the CEO of Sega when they were doing when there was the Sega and oh my gosh, not Nintendo Wars, right? And so I was like, dude, I'm just gonna drop into the guy's DMs and interview him and talk to him. And we met for lunch. And I'm talking to like the ex-CEO of Sega. Why? Because I wanted to. No other reason, right? So again, hopefully that inspires you all to just say, don't be scared, hang out with people, stalk Jason as much as possible, get all up in his business, But actually, Alex, this is good advice for you because that's how I would start getting into Twitter. I would just go look at who Jason's talking to, who Chris is talking to, who Sashi's talking to, because those are all the people you probably want to talk to already, right? Like you're just joining the party, if that makes sense. So hopefully that was helpful advice.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. The Venn diagram of networking is who you know and then who they know. How do you approach those? It sounds like you kind of present yourself I think some people just shoot the shot too fast. So how do you approach that? I get a lot of messages like, "Hey, I need a computer." It's like, "Hey, I don't know you. It's that good networking."
I don't know. I think that having actually, they say this in, sales and networking generally, right? Like not just developer wise, but you should have an ask. So, an easy ask would be, "Hey, let's do a podcast," or like, "Hey, I need whatever. Can you, whatever with me?" But yeah, I mean, you do need to build some level of social credibility there and make it easy for people to say yes. Um, like for example, somebody was wanting me to review their book, and I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Fine." But then it's like, "Oh, can you go to this thing, fill out this form, and input this code?" I'm like, "No." I'm not gonna tell him no, I'm just not gonna respond because I don't have time for that. But he could have just asked me for my address and filled out the form for me, and then I would review his book, right? But I don't have time for it. So, I don't know how many times he's gonna have to bug me till, like, I actually have the energy to do so. Maybe I will tonight, I don't know. But again, point being, right, is just have to make it easy for people to potentially connect with you. I mean, have a reason, have an ask for them.
Yeah, that was a great question, Jason. One thing I did early on when I started Twitter with like 50 followers was exactly what Tracy mentioned. Like I would go to like big accounts like Tracy, Danny. Danny didn't know me yet. And I would go to him and just respond to his posts and his comments, whatever it was. Like I would just put it up there. And then he started to see my name and started to recognize what I did and stuff. And then he invited me to a Twitter space. And when that happened, boom, blew up. 1,000 followers a day. Kept going, going, going. And it was not just him. Like you follow big accounts and people that you like, and then as you build that rapport, then they start to identify who you are. Like I had this individual, I didn't know her at all. She just kept commenting on my posts like, "Oh, I like the like this and that," and then a great way of interpreting this. And then after 2 weeks, she said, "Hey, I know you don't know me, but I'm looking for some UX um, like guidelines and stuff like that. If you can have the time to help me provide some resources for me, that'd be great." And I was like, "Yes," because you were respectful and you built a little connection with me, even though it was through comments. I'm more than willing to spend my time to do that. But if you blindly message me and say, "Hey, like, do you have time to review my portfolio, whatever?" Like, if I'm not doing that right now, I'm like, "I'm sorry. Like, I'm not going to do that." Like, that's just I'm busy to a point, but when it's like when you can build that relationship, then it's like, "Oh yeah, I'm willing to do that when I have time, and I will do it within the day or so."
Yeah, I think something I Ryan and I know Ryan's not in here, but Ryan Furr, he's a part of our group, and we were at that conference in January, and I had known James Quick for a while off and on, and I heard James in one of his podcasts with Compressed FM say he would love for people to help out on projects. So, I went up and asked him. I said, "Hey, James, I would love to talk with you. I would like to work on a real world project that is not one of our things is Front End Mentor. They're one of our sponsors, and they're phenomenal and wonderful. We love you, Front End Mentor. Thank you for sponsoring us." But I did a ton of Front End Mentor projects. I'm like, okay, I want to work on something that is being used in the community. So I said, James, I'd love to talk. He set up some time. We talked for about an hour. He's like, "This is awesome. Okay, great. Let's help out with this." And I think that's where, when going to Jason's question of, how do we shoot our shot without shooting our shot too early? And then to what you said, Tracy, with, um, people assume that we're busy. We're not. I think a lot of the times in this space, when you see someone like James, you're like, "Oh, he's got 60,000 followers. Oh, Shashi has 20,000 followers." They're out of reach. they're not out of reach. It's okay to reach in and say, hey, here's what I have to offer you, not give me an opportunity. It's, hey, James, I've been following you for a while. We've talked off and on. I'm a React developer. I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. I would love to help you out on some of your projects. Do you have something for me that I could help you with? And I think that has helped, and it's shown other people. Ryan Furry goes, wait, you just asked James if you could help him? And he said, yes. And I said, yeah, absolutely. And then Ryan reached out to James, and the same thing happened. So I don't know what I'm trying to say out of it. I think it's just no one's out of reach. It's just be
Like,
respectful.
don't like that, like, imposter syndrome, or like, oh, you're too busy
Exactly.
for me. Like, all of that sort of social, I guess we could call it social anxiety.
Yeah.
You just
yeah.
have to, I love going into a space, and again, whether it's being naive or whatever it is, right? But just like not caring. Like, I'm doing a lot of life sciences in Atlanta right now, and there's a lot of lines that I just don't know about, which is amazing and beneficial for me because I don't need to follow them. And I'm not. And you know what? I'm probably going to provide a lot of value that way, right? So don't let people put, you in boxes and try to get you to do what, Justin is a great example. Justin came into Atlanta and he was just like, I'm going to do this thing at Render. And everybody kind of was a little bit, "Nah," but here's these lines here. And Justin said, well, I don't care about those lines. And then he just did what he did, and it became what it is, right? And there was a lot of doubt in terms of, what Render was and what it was supposed to become. And even with me, there was doubt and things like that. But look what he's created, right? And so you don't let things limit you from being successful. Like, the only thing that's stopping you is really yourself.
That is great feedback. Does anybody else have any other questions? Open floor.
I do have one.
I don't have a specific question.
No.
Oh, Chris. Go ahead.
No, mine's listen. Here's what I want to know, Tracy, and this is very important, and your answer is gonna really affect some people here. Is pineapple on pizza okay?
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm ending this stream right now. Bye-bye.
But not on true pizza. Not on like Neapolitan style pizza,
Okay.
but like on, New York style pizza or cheap pizza. But on Napolitano style pizza, it does not taste good.
Love it. Love it. Great answer.
I'll take that.
That's such a bougie answer.
We have Italians on our team. He made pizza. I put pineapple on it. I was disappointed. So what do you say? Detroit style pizza? Yes. Yes.
Jason, did you have a question? I don't think your audio is working anymore, Jason. It is not. All right. So Tracy, I have a few questions for you. One is, how can someone who is self-taught prepare themselves or through group or anything to get their first job? Like, what is an advice that you have that can help transform their career so that they can be more at the forefront when they're applying for a job?
Well, you can do a lot of things. I would say number one, applying to conferences, applying to speak at local meetups. If you're applying for a conference and you really want to speak at this conference, send 5 abstracts and then surround that, like Clark at that conf, get up in his DMs, get up on his Twitter, whatever, get noticed, have fun, ask him if he likes pineapple on pizza. Right, like you are in his business on Twitter. He is noticing you, and then he will notice you when you have the abstract. Right, so that would be one thing. Right, getting more visibility. I would
Mhm.
also say, there's been so many great success stories. Like, I don't know if you guys know Aiden Bai. So Aiden Bai is with Million JS, and he
Mhm.
created like
Mhm.
Million JS.
Yeah.
And I think his story is really inspiring because much like many open source contributors, he just decided to do something because he wanted to do something better and started a project, and then it got noticed, and then all of a sudden he, was going to go to college and then went and then dropped out and then went to YC and then got funding and then boom. So all of a sudden he has a job for himself, right? You see the same thing over and over again. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't remember his name right now, but who was with Webpack for so long, and then kind of stopped talking. Anyways, he just decided to be like, talk about Webpack and become the evangelist for Webpack and became kind of synonymous with Webpack when Webpack was a thing. And, all of a sudden landed like great jobs at Microsoft. Okay, Ben Lesh. Ben Lesh was a random developer in Pittsburgh. Nobody knew Ben Lesh. Who's Ben Lesh? Nobody knows Ben Lesh. Ben Lesh just answered a ton of questions on Stack Overflow, and then one day got an email from Netflix and said, "Okay, whatever, you're gonna fly me out to California? Sure, I'll come." Okay, Ben goes to California, gets a job at Netflix. Um, you know, more than triples his salary, right? Boom, done. All of a sudden we all know Ben Lesh. Why? And then by happenstance,
Mhm.
they're working on RxJS, and then he becomes the creator of RxJS. Point being, right, like all these stories are just people starting something, just doing something. Like, don't let like Sashi, don't let the idea of, hey, this has been done before, hey, I need to whatever, you're right. Like, sometimes it's okay to be a little bit messy and just start something and then improve on it in the future. Because if you don't have something that you can actually improve on, then you can't actually ever improve, right? So you can start and just do and make mistakes, and like you said, Sashi, like learning in public.
Mhm.
And if you do that, like, you have an opportunity to iterate and make things better. So I would highly encourage everybody to do that. um I don't know, like, what do I do? I mean, I kind of just do all the things that I just said, right? Like, so I guess that's my advice.
Yeah, I mean that's sound advice,
Mhm.
and also great that you brought examples up too of individuals of how they got seen and stuff, because these are kind of the things that many people have preached on Twitter, on LinkedIn, even myself to this team too, is giving yourself a chance, right?
Yeah.
Like they give yourself a chance, go out there. I know some feel like it's difficult or they're introverted, but I always tell them I understand that it is very hard,
Yeah.
but where we're at in this industry, it is very difficult to hide behind the computer screen and try to land your first job nowadays. Like put yourself out there a little bit. Even start off by just doing virtual meetups or something, and then go to conferences. Putting just taking those little steps to get to that point, because um, you know, being able to change your career and getting that first job is so tremendous for your future, your family's future, and all that stuff. So,
Nobody
but
shows up, by the way,
yeah,
Sashi. Like, you just have to consistently
hmm,
show up
yeah,
and make people feel like you can be trusted. Because, for me, I just started showing up in Atlanta, and I will tell you, all of a sudden, I'm like talking to all the board members of all these different organizations. I'm not even on the board, but I'm up in there doing things because I want to be there.
hmm,
And they just opened the doors because I kept showing up. I was consistent. I was there, right? And it didn't take that long. It took me like probably, you know, I made the decision early May, I think, or late April that I wanted to do. And it's July, right? And I feel like I know a lot of the influencers in Atlanta right now, but it would be the same thing, right? If I wanted to do that in .NET, if I wanted to do that in
hmm,
Java, if I wanted to do that in Python, I would do the same exact thing, meet all the people I need to know, show up, show I'm consistent, see where I can help out, join whatever meetings they add me to, be useful, and then, maybe it's not going to serve me now. Maybe I won't get results out of it, whatever that
Mhm.
result is. But you're just being a good member of society, a good member of that community, and in the long run, that will help you.
That's awesome. I think that's a good stopping point for us. Tracy, thank you again for joining us and providing some amazing tips and knowledge sharing and all of that. I'm excited to meet you in person next week at that conference. But again, like, thank you for just providing all the resources and information that you have for these, career switchers and all these people that are trying to get jobs. Like, I know you have a ton of openings right now too, so if you're looking for a senior role, I don't know, it's like .net, React, everything, right? Like, it's almost like
Yes,
everything.
Vue, PHP, engineering leaders. And I would also say for companies who are listening to this who are wanting to hire juniors, feel free to message me. I would
Mhm.
love to hire somebody like Chris, somebody like Jason. I only know Chris and Jason because Alex isn't on Twitter. And Carlos, I
Oh.
haven't seen your name pop up. I don't know, you know, but point being, right? Like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
what a great opportunity if we could, provide that opportunity to, help through the apprentice program, get some amazing people jobs. Happy to do that. So you can always find me on Twitter at Lady Elite or Tracy at this.co.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.